There's a kind of strength the world rarely teaches, but secretly respects. Not the strength of fists or shouting matches, but the quiet authority of a person who refuses to be dragged into battles that don't deserve their energy. We live in an age of instant reactions, where a single comment can ignite a war of words, where every slight demands a comeback, where silence is mistaken for weakness. But what if the greatest move isn't a fight at all? What if the highest form of dominance is a refusal to play a game you've already won by walking away? The Stoics would nod knowingly. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor who ruled an empire without letting the empire rule his mind, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." 2,000 years later, that sentence is still a weapon, because the one who controls their own mind cannot be controlled by anyone else. And once you grasp this, every insult, every provocation, every attempt to pull you into chaos begins to look like what it truly is, an invitation you are free to decline. This video is not about passive surrender. It's about strategic restraint. It's about turning what people call doing nothing into the most devastating power move available to any human being. We're going to walk through a series of silent rules, each one a lesson in emotional self-mastery, each one a reminder that the real arena is not the world outside, but the mind within. Follow these principles, and you'll discover what the ancient Stoics and the sharpest modern strategists already knew. Control yourself, and you control the game. Before we dive in, drop this affirmation in the comments. My calm is my weapon. Because everything we discuss from this point on begins with a single truth. If you cannot master your own reactions, you will always dance to someone else's music. Principle 1. Stop explaining yourself. Power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need a press release, a justification, or a long speech about why it exists. It simply is. Yet most people bleed away their strength by trying to be understood. They explain their choices. They defend their decisions. They write endless paragraphs in the group chat, hoping someone will validate their point of view. Every explanation is a small surrender. It tells the world, your opinion matters more than my peace. Benjamin Disraeli once said, never complain, never explain. The Stoics lived this before it was ever quoted. Epictetus warned his students to stop arguing with fools because the argument itself was a trap. Why? Because the moment you start explaining, you are no longer acting. You are reacting. And reaction is the first step toward losing control. Think about the people who fascinate you most. The friend who quietly makes a life-changing decision and offers no speech about why. The co-worker who turns down an opportunity without a single defensive sentence. The public figure who disappears for a year and comes back transformed, never revealing the details. There is something magnetic about a person who refuses to be decoded. Mystery is intimidating. It unsettles egos. It forces others to fill in the blanks with their own imagination, and imagination is always more dramatic than reality. Machiavelli, the Renaissance strategist of power, advised rulers to act decisively but conceal their true motives. If people don't know why you do what you do, they can't predict you. If they can't predict you, they can't control you. This is not deception. It is discipline. It's the choice to let results speak instead of words. Here's how this plays out in real life. Maybe you're building a business in silence while friends keep asking why you're not partying as much. Maybe you're leaving a toxic relationship and relatives demand a reason. Maybe you're simply evolving, reading more, posting less, and the crowd wants an explanation. Don't give it. Let time answer the questions. Every reason you provide is a crack in the armor you're forging. Every detail is a piece of leverage handed to someone who might one day use it against you. Remember this, people fear what they can't read. They can dismiss what they fully understand. But a quiet storm moving with intention, unreadable, untouchable, that's unforgettable. The strongest individuals you will ever meet share a common trait. They walk away from arguments they could easily win, not because they lack the skill, but because they refuse to pay the emotional price. They know that every reaction is a transaction, and peace is too expensive to trade. If you feel pressure to justify yourself, pause and ask, who benefits if I speak? If the answer isn't you, stay silent. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a fortress. It keeps your strategy hidden, your energy conserved, and your dignity intact. So beginning today, make this a practice. When someone demands an explanation for your growth, give them none. When gossip circles back asking for your side of the story, offer silence. When critics bait you with accusations, stay focused on your work. Let results do the talking. Because when the outcome arrives, it will speak louder than any defense you could ever craft. Drop this second affirmation in the comments to lock it in. I owe no explanations, only results. There's a strange advantage in being underestimated. People think underestimation is an insult, like someone has taken away your worth. But in reality, it's one of the greatest gifts you'll ever receive. Why? Because when someone thinks you're harmless, they show you everything. They expose their plans, their weakness, their impatience. And while they're busy performing, you're quietly observing, recording, preparing. Napoleon Bonaparte, a man who reshaped Europe with strategy more than brute force, once said, "Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake." The Stoics would agree. Seneca wrote that the wise man does not rush to correct fools because folly eventually punishes itself. When you let a person's ego run free, you give them enough rope to build their own trap. The louder they get, the more reckless they become. This is the second silent rule of power. Let their ego bury them. Most of the chaos you experience in life comes from one thing: other people's need to prove themselves. Someone insults you to spark a reaction. A co-worker undermines you to feel superior. A rival exaggerates their success to provoke envy. The untrained mind takes the bait. It argues. It defends. It tries to win a game designed by someone else. But the Stoic mind steps back and thinks, why compete in a contest that only reward their pride? Here's the secret. Ego is a blindfold. The person obsessed with proving their worth cannot see clearly. They overplay their hand, reveal their insecurities, and create openings for anyone patient enough to wait. Your job is to wait. Imagine a co-worker who treats you like you're beneath them. Instead of calling them out, you stay quiet. You watch their patterns. You notice how often they interrupt others, how quickly they claim credit, how desperate they are to be seen as important. Eventually, they make a mistake, an email sent too fast, a promise they can't keep, a deadline they miss. Because ego always demands more than competence can deliver. And when that mistake happens, their own actions, not your arguments, expose them. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. He advised leaders to appear weaker than they were, to act less aware than they truly were, because a relaxed opponent is an exposed opponent. If people think you're naive, they stop guarding their moves. They talk too much. They underestimate your intelligence. And in their arrogance, they give you the very information you need to outmaneuver them. This isn't about manipulation. It's about discipline. It's the decision to remain unmoved while others burn energy proving a point. Think of it as emotional judo, using the opponent's force against themselves without lifting a finger. The world will constantly invite you to defend your worth. Someone will question your skills. Someone will laugh at your plans. Someone will test your patience with a smirk designed to pull you off center. When that happens, you have two choices. You can match their energy and enter a contest of egos, or you can master your own. Choose mastery. This doesn't mean you never act. Stoicism is not passivity. It's precision. Marcus Aurelius led armies and passed laws, but he also wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the one who injured you. Sometimes action is required, protecting a boundary, making a decisive move. But the key is to act from strategy, not from the raw impulse to prove. Let your timing be deliberate. Let your moves be invisible until they can no longer be stopped. Think of chess. The beginner rushes pieces forward, desperate to show aggression. The master waits, lets the opponent advance, lets them believe they're winning, until one quiet move flips the entire board. Life works the same way. While others brag, you build. While they flaunt, you focus. While they burn out, you're still standing. Here's a simple practice. The next time someone tries to provoke you, picture their words as a wave hitting a cliff. The wave makes noise. The cliff doesn't move. That's you. Every insult is just water. Every boast is just foam. Your silence is the rock that outlasts a storm. Remember, People reveal themselves in their need to dominate. Let them reveal. Let them think you're not paying attention. Let them get comfortable. Because comfort breeds carelessness, and carelessness builds opportunity. Drop this affirmation in the comments and let it sink into your mind. Their ego is my camouflage. Stay patient. Stay grounded. Stay unreadable. Because while they bury themselves in noise, you're planting seeds in silence. Seeds that will one day rise so high, they won't even remember the day they doubted you. The quietest victories are always the loudest in the end. There is something almost poetic about watching someone doubt you, while you quietly build a reality they can't touch. It's a strategy as old as the Stoics themselves. Respond to disrespect, not with arguments, not with speeches, but with undeniable achievement. The Joker in The Dark Knight said it bluntly. If you're good at something, never do it for free. The Stoics would have phrased it differently. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Different words, same message. Don't talk about power. Build it. Don't debate your worth. Demonstrate it. This is a third silent rule of dominance. Success is the only response. When someone insults you, when they question your value, when they try to pull you into a meaningless conflict, the most devastating move you can make is to ignore the bait and keep growing. Because growth makes noise without a single word spoken. It is impossible to argue with results. An insult fades. An achievement endures. Think about the people you admire most. The friend who left a toxic relationship and returned months later thriving. The entrepreneur who disappeared from social media and reappeared with a thriving business. The artist who stopped explaining their vision and simply delivered masterpieces. Their silence during climb only made the reveal more powerful. People who doubted them were forced to watch success unfold like an avalanche. Slow at first, then unstoppable. This is what the Stoics understood so well. Epictetus taught that character is revealed by actions, not opinions. Seneca reminded his students that external recognition is a trap, that the wise man seeks excellence, not applause. When you focus on results, you remove the audience from the equation. Your work becomes a message, and no critic can rewrite that. But let's be honest, this is not easy. Building in silence requires a tolerance for invisibility. There will be seasons when no one notices your effort. You'll train while others celebrate. You'll save while others spend. You'll practice in the dark while the world scrolls past your quiet updates. This is where most people quit, because they confuse silence with failure. Don't make that mistake. Silence is not absence. Silence is incubation. Think of the caterpillar. It disappears into a cocoon, unseen and unheard. No applause, no headlines, no one cheering for the slow, hidden transformation. Then one day, without warning, a butterfly emerges, radiant, undeniable, requiring no explanation. That is what Stoic success looks like. Private struggle, public proof. Machiavelli, though often cast as a cold strategist, echoed this idea in his own way. He warned rulers not to waste time defending their character against rumors. Instead, he advised them to focus on tangible victories that silence critics on their own. Because when results speak, words become irrelevant. Consider how this plays out in real life. Someone questions your career choice. Instead of debating, you master your craft. Months later, they see your promotion. Someone mocks your fitness goals. Instead of explaining your diet, you keep training. Weeks later, they notice the transformation. Someone doubts your relationship boundaries. Instead of defending them, you simply live by them. Eventually, your peace speaks louder than any speech. Each of these scenarios requires the same inner discipline. Focus on building, not broadcasting. Resist the urge to announce every step. Don't post every plan. Don't clap back with words when you can clap back with progress. Because every announcement invites resistance. Every boast gives others a target. But silence leaves them guessing, and guessing keeps them off balance. This isn't about hiding your life out of fear. It's about protecting your energy so that your work, not your words, carries the weight. Marcus Aurelius trained himself daily to care more about his actions than about what others thought of them. He understood that reputation built on noise is fragile. Reputation built on achievement is indestructible. Here's a practice to carry with you. Each morning, ask yourself one question. What result will silence my critics today? Then spend the day pursuing that result. Not because you need to prove them wrong, but because excellence is its own reward. The critics are just an unintended audience. There is a strange shift that happens once you embrace this principle. As your results compound, your need to explain evaporates. The world begins to adjust around you. People who once mocked you fall silent. Some will try to imitate you. Others will pretend they always believed in you. But you will know the truth. Your silence did what their noise never could. Drop this affirmation in the comments to lock it in. My results speak louder than my words. And remember, success is not just about money or status. It's about mastery over your craft, your habits, your emotions. A person who has conquered themselves radiates a presence no trophy can equal. That is the Stoic victory. That is a quiet roar of a life built on principle, not applause. The loudest growth often happens in the quietest seasons. Disappearing is not weakness, it's strategy. When a warrior retreats, it isn't surrender, it's preparation. When you pull back from the noise, you create the one thing most people fear more than anything else: mystery. The modern world trains us to stay visible. Post your breakfast. Share your location. Update your followers every hour. We've been conditioned to believe that if we are not constantly present, we'll be forgotten. But the truth is the opposite. Visibility can breed contempt. Absence, when used with purpose, builds value. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus warned that constant chatter erodes dignity. Seneca urged his students to spend more time with their own thoughts than with the crowd. Marcus Aurelius wrote nightly reflections, private conversations with himself that no one else was meant to read. They knew that greatness requires solitude, that clarity is born in silence. Here's the paradox. The more you pull back, the more they notice. The friend who used to take your presence for granted begins to wonder. The person who once dismissed you starts to question what you're up to. The crowd that scrolled past your updates now searches for your name. Your absence becomes a mirror, forcing them to confront how much they relied on your energy. This is why disappearing is so powerful. It denies others the easy comfort of predicting you. It forces them to fill the silence with their own imagination. And imagination is always more dramatic than reality. But disappearance isn't just about others. It's about you. When you withdraw, you reclaim your attention. You stop reacting to every notification. You start hearing your own thoughts again. The chatter of the world fades, and what remains is the raw sound of your own ambition. Think of it as strategic hibernation. Bears don't sleep through winter because they are lazy. They withdraw to conserve energy, to grow stronger, to survive. When they emerge, they are leaner, sharper, ready for the hunt. Your disappearances serve the same purpose. You step back to learn, to train, to build, to heal. And when you return transformed. This is not about ghosting people out of spite. It's not about punishing anyone. It's about respecting the natural seasons of growth. There's a time to sow and a time to harvest. A time to speak and a time to stay silent. When the time to disappear arrives, embrace it without apology. Here's what happens when you do. You begin to see who truly values you. The people who only loved your attention will fade. The ones who genuinely care will reach out quietly, respectfully. This is the invisible filter of solitude. It reveals who's real and who's just consuming you. Machiavelli, the master of power dynamics, understood this principle well. He advised leaders to limit their accessibility, to maintain a touch of distance, so that their presence always carried weight. Too much availability breeds familiarity. Familiarity breeds disrespect. A well-timed absence, on the other hand, creates anticipation. So, how do you disappear with purpose? Start small. Take a weekend with no social media. Spend evenings without notifications. Stop explaining every decision. Let people wonder where you are and what you're building. Use that time to sharpen your skills, study, exercise, reflect. Return only when you have something real to show, progress, not excuses. At first, people will resist. They'll ask why you're distant. They'll accuse you of arrogance. They'll try to pull you back into the old rhythm. Do not explain. Remember the first rule of silence. Mystery is more powerful than justification. Simply say you've been focusing on something important. That's it. Let the results speak when the time is right. During your disappearance, you will face a deeper challenge. Your own fear. The fear of missing out. The fear of being forgotten. The fear of losing connections. But these fears are illusions. If a bond can be broken by a season of growth, it was never strong enough to begin with. Here's the Stoic practice of this phase. Each night, write down one thing you gained from solitude. It might be a new idea, a moment of clarity, a small victory in self-discipline. This trains your mind to see absence not as emptiness, but as abundance. When you finally return, whether it's after a week, a month, or a year, something subtle will have shifted. Your presence will feel heavier. Your words will carry more weight. People will notice the change even if they can't name it. That's because real transformation cannot be faked. It radiates from within. Drop this affirmation in the comments to claim it. My silence is my strategy. My return will speak for me. Remember this. Power is not in constant motion. Power is in control of motion. The world tells you to stay visible. Stoicism whispers a different command. Withdraw to rise. Because when you step back on your own terms, you don't disappear. You ascend. When you return from silence, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly respects you, but because you are no longer the same. Disappearing wasn't just about hiding. It was about sharpening. And when you walk back into the room you once left, people can feel it before you even speak. The air shifts. The conversations pause. It's not magic. It's the quiet authority of someone who has faced themselves and come back stronger. This is the final silent rule of dominance. When you return, you don't chase the room, you control it. Control doesn't mean barking orders. It doesn't mean demanding attention. True control is effortless. It's in the way you carry yourself, the way you enter a space without needing to announce that you've arrived. It's the pause before you speak, the calm in your eyes, the subtle confidence that says, I don't need your validation. I brought my own. Marcus Aurelius captured this power perfectly. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Your silence has already done the work. You've trained, you've healed, you've built. Now your very presence does the speaking. And here's the paradox. Because you no longer need to dominate, people willingly give you their attention. Think about how rare this energy is in today's world. Everyone is performing. Everyone is selling something, an opinion, a lifestyle, a brand. The person who can simply be command to gravity, no performance can match. That is the gift of your absence. It stripped you of the need to impress. And when that need dies, authenticity takes over. When you re-enter the spaces you left, whether at a workplace, a family gathering, or an old social circle, here's what you'll notice. People who once underestimated you will search for signs of your transformation. They'll study your face, your posture, your words. They'll try to measure the gap between who you were and who you are now. And they will find it, because silence changes people in ways that cannot be hidden. This is where many make a critical mistake. They return too loudly. They overshare. They boast about their growth. Don't do this. The moment you explain, you weaken the effect. The mystery of your silence is your leverage. Protect it. Let people wonder how you built what you built. Let them ask questions you never answer. Control the room with 3 quiet moves. Presence over performance. Walk in with calm, grounded energy. Slow movements. Steady breathing. No frantic gestures. No need to fill the silence. Let others adjust to your pace. Observation over reaction. Instead of rushing to speak, listen. Watch how people interact. Notice the small tells. Who is nervous? Who is curious? Who is threatened? Power belongs to the one who sees without being seen. Scarcity over availability. Don't give everyone your time. Don't answer every question. Speak selectively. Leave before the room drains your energy. Your limited presence keeps your value high. The Stoics trained for this. They understood that the hardest battle is not external. It's the battle to remain unmoved by praise or criticism. Seneca wrote, "The greatest power is often simple self-control." When you master yourself, rooms and people naturally align around your energy. Not because you force them to, but because you become unshakable. And here's the deeper truth. Your return isn't really about them. It's about you finally stepping into the life you built in silence. The applause, the curiosity, the subtle envy, those are side effects, not goals. The real victory is internal. You kept your discipline. You protected your mind. You proved to yourself that you can grow without needing to be seen. From a distance, this will look like dominance. And in a way it is, but it's not the cheap dominance of intimidation. It's the quiet dominance of someone who no longer plays by anyone else's script. Now, imagine applying this principle everywhere. In relationships, you no longer beg for attention. You create a life so rich they feel your absence before they even realize it. In work, you no longer fight for recognition. Your results make silence impossible. In life, you no longer fear solitude. You use it as a weapon and a refuge. This is how Stoicism wins without a single argument. It teaches that the highest form of control is self-control. And self-control, expressed through silence, creates a presence that cannot be ignored. Drop this final affirmation in the comments to anchor it. My silence has shaped me. My presence speaks for me. If this message found you at the right time, don't let it fade into background noise. This is your moment to withdraw, to build, to rise. You don't need to announce your plans. You don't need to defend your choices. Just start, train, learn, discipline yourself until your silence becomes undeniable. When you return, because you will return, let your results do the talking. Let your presence shift the air in every room you enter. Let your life become the proof that control is not about volume. It's about mastery. If this resonated, take one small action today. Turn off a notification. Skip a pointless argument. Spend an hour alone and listen to quiet. That's where your power lives. And if you want more Stoic wisdom to keep your mind sharp and your spirit unshakable, subscribe to this channel. Not for me, for you, because the world is noisy and every day you stay here, you're choosing the rare path of strength through silence. Remember, the strongest force isn't the one that shouts the loudest. It's the one that doesn't need to. Disappear, build, return. Control the room without saying a word.